This reform will bring increased accountability to state government. And obviously that's a model we hope will be followed throughout Virginia state government. I went to the launch of the federal site, and the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, had been to every congressional hearing and said, we can't do this, it can't be done, it can't be done. And the OMB guy was moderating the event, and he said, after we went to every congressional hearing and told everybody it can't be done, I'm proud to tell you that we've done it. And they put $800 billion worth of federal spending online for under $1 million. 2/3 of that $1 million was buying the software from OMB Watch, a good government group that had been harassing them for some time. And OMB Watch at the end of January this month will make that software open source. So if you do the dollar equivalent, they're $300,000 or so for the $800 billion they put online. Our site should cost us about $185, and I'm ready to write that check myself to get this online. So I appreciate Ben and Chap's efforts. I know it's going to take all of our efforts in a variety of different times to get this through, but it is something that really brings the government of Virginia closer to the people, and I look forward to success in this effort.
Well, thank you for having me here today. I wanted to rush down here and make sure the Republicans didn't get all the credit for this. I'm Chap Petersen. I represent the 34th State Senate District. I'm glad to be here with Ken and with Ben and my old seatmate Johnny Joanna, who's not here, but was a very good friend of mine in the House of Delegates when I served with him. I actually want to speak to this from the perspective of a former local official. I got started on City Council in Fairfax 10 years ago. And Fairfax City, to those of you that are unfamiliar with the geography of Northern Virginia, is a small community. It's about 20,000 folks. I used to call a little piece of West Virginia airdropped into Fairfax County, although it's changed. But the bottom line is people in that community wanted to know how their money was being spent. And when I was elected to the House of Delegates, people said, what's the difference between being in the House of Delegates and being on City Council? I said, well, local politics, after you vote, they're waiting in the parking lot for you. And it's important that people we represent know the choices that we make. And that's not to say we're all going to agree with each other's choices. Jim Parmalee, he and I have been going at it a couple of times, but the bottom line is it's a democracy, and people, they deserve to know the choices I make and the choices Ken makes and Ben makes. And the best way to do that is make information available to them at their fingertips. And in this age of the internet, especially in Virginia, which is such a leader in technology, it's inconceivable to me that we would not be on line with our state budget. So my congratulations to Senator Cuccinelli. I look forward to pushing this forward, and hopefully this will be embraced by our colleagues and we'll make it law. Thanks.
I want to thank Chap for his involvement in working with the House and with the administration. We look forward to getting this enacted into law. You know, I come at this from a budget hawk position where I'm concerned about a lot of wasteful spending that's been going on over the past several years. JLARC just came out with a report that said that after you account for population and inflation, the budget over the past decade has still increased by about 38%. If you include population and inflation growth, it's about 100%, about a doubling over the past decade. You know, you see wasteful spending everywhere, and the more eyes that are on it, the more eyes that are on the Virginia budget, the easier we're going to be able to find and target that wasteful spending. An example that took a little bit of effort was happened a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember, the Virginia Lottery ran a ticket with Donald Trump's face on it. And Donald Trump doesn't give away anything for free. So I started wondering how much Virginia paid Donald Trump to let him, to let us put his face on our lottery ticket. Took several letters to the lottery before they finally let me know that it was a $250,000 payment to Donald Trump for the use of his face on our lottery ticket. I have yet to see any proof that that ticket sold better because his face was on it. In fact, something makes me think his face didn't detract it from any marketability of the ticket. But those are the kinds of things that I shouldn't have to dig and work to find, that with the help of citizens from across Virginia looking at the budget carefully online, we can find that type of wasteful spending and eliminate it. So this is going to complement a number of other efforts that I'm working on. The Yellow Pages test is the best bill that I'm known for, which is if it's in the Yellow Pages, government shouldn't be doing it. That one made it all the way to the governor's desk before the previous governor vetoed it. We're still working to get that back on this governor's desk. Hopefully he'll sign it. But putting power back in the hands of the people, that's what this effort's about. I appreciate John Taylor's work and all of Ken and Chap's work, and look forward to working with Johnny to get this bill into law. And appreciate y'all being here. Thank you.
When Ben originally told me how much they paid Trump to put his face on the lottery ticket, I contacted the lottery people to see if I could have my picture put on there. Told me that it would cost me $250,000 to have my face put on there. But anyway, one thing I wanted to, that Ken just mentioned to me, a couple of years ago, I think it was 2005 if I recall correctly, the Virginia Institute put out, it was a joint effort between the Virginia Institute and Citizens Against Government Waste. The CAGW is famous for putting out an annual pig book about federal government. And they contacted me and said, would you like to work together to put out a book in Virginia? The piglet book, they call it, the state level. And I told them, yes, I think it would be a great idea. And the entire effort was hampered by the fact that we couldn't make hide or hair, whatever the phrase is, of the Virginia budget. I mean, it was just indecipherable. And I would like to repeat that effort sometime in the future if we ever have budget transparency where we can actually go through the budget and tell what's there. That's the only comment I wanted to make. If we've got questions, we've got a couple minutes for questions before we have to vacate the room. Sure.
Who's the main opposition?
Everybody else.
On the federal level, the main oppositions came from Senator Byrd, Senator Stevens, notorious porkers. They were the ones who had the secret hold on the bill that we had to peel away to find out who was holding up this bill. In other states, unfriendly people have used fiscal notes to try to kill it by giving ridiculously high estimates of the cost. For example, the state of Tennessee said it would cost them just as much to build this website as it did the federal government. Where in other states have used existing resources or done it for $100,000. But these people don't come out and they don't make themselves known because they're not transparent. So they don't do it for themselves.
If I could add one thing to that. There's two basic ways this bill could be attacked. One is, as Christina just mentioned, an exorbitant price tag could be put on it. The other is that it could be amended to the point where transparency is in the name only, Tino, I guess. And you know, both of those obviously are to be avoided. I obviously emphasize the price tag of the federal effort to you all because I think it's important to recognize the scale of what it doesn't take. It doesn't take much money. In Missouri, there's $0 marginally. And Virginia shouldn't have any problem. We have a process in place through VETA that should be able to absorb this, and the Department of Planning and Budget already gathers the information. We're already doing a lot of this. We just have to make it consistent and web presentable and put English language explanations there.
First of all, thank you for this effort. I would think that the major newspapers in general, including the major newspapers, the Times-Dispatch, the Washington Post, would be in favor of this legislation. One would hope that they would actually editorialize in favor of it. Do you have any idea as to whether or not we're going to get a favorable response from what passes for the prestige press in Virginia?
I just know that when we met with Paul Akers at the Freelance Star, the comment he made was he would be interested if there were any editorial boards that would be opposed to this.
John, he wrote in favor of it this morning.
Oh, did?
It was the lead house editorial.
I haven't
for the
even seen
Freelance
that.
Star was endorsed this.
Well, and the DC Examiner did yesterday That's all I've seen so far. So,
And that's more likely than opposition is just ignoring it altogether.
right.
Right. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for being here.